What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me for my video. I know it's been a really long time, like months and months, probably like over a year, I think, since I did my very first relationship video. I kind of wanted to get back into it because it was something that I enjoyed. To be quite honest with you, I've gotten really kind of tired of just makeup tutorials and videos, so I thought it would be fun to, at this point, kind of get back into things and kind of see where it goes. I always have fun with these topics, so I hope that you enjoy them. This video is going to be about long-distance relationships. I know that many of you have either been in one, are in one, or have ended a relationship because of the long-distance factor. And being that majority of my relationships have been long-distance relationships in some time or another, I thought it'd be kind of cool to touch on a few things. The question was, what are some challenges that couples in long-distance relationships can face? And one, let's all just put it out on the table right now, is people don't really meet people face-to-face anymore. A lot of relationships, a lot of marriages are due to people meeting over the internet. And 10 years ago, that may have been a cause for, concern, or people may have been a little apprehensive or even embarrassed to admit that they met their partner on the internet. As I know in a few of my past relationships, I had been a little shy to admit that. But now it's like no big deal. Great, you meet somebody that you mesh with, now what? They're 2,000 miles away, clear across on the other coast. What do you... And to give you a little background on myself, my very first serious relationship, half the time, was a long distance relationship. And I was in high school, and that lasted for a little over 3 years, I believe. And he was back and forth between Hawaii and Minnesota. So, we at that point had to do what we could to keep the relationship going. And I know you're like, that's in high school. I mean, no, trust me. You still have to go through the same challenges, the same issues that arise when you're 17, when you're 27 and 37, just in a more complex manner. I had to work a weekend job to pay phone bills. There were no such things as free nights and weekends. You know what I mean? You actually had to pay for your long distance. Financially, it's straining if you're not in a financial position to see each other all the time. At least now there's things like the internet, cell phones that allow you to Skype, even though I don't know what the hell Skype is. I've never... FaceTiming, web chatting. There's so many different ways where you can communicate with your partner. And I think that's, really in that aspect as far as communication. And I think the number one factor that couples face, no matter how old you are, is trust. You have to have trust in a relationship. And this goes for any relationship. It doesn't matter if you're in the same room with someone or halfway across the globe. Trust is a big issue. I mean, you can have people who are jealous, who don't trust you, who can be sitting right next to you like, who are you texting on your phone? Who's calling you? Who's calling you now? Well, what are you doing on Facebook? Who's sending you private messages? Trust is a huge issue, and if you can't trust somebody while you're in the same room with them, how are you going to trust them when you're miles and miles, cities and time zones away from them? You have to make sure that you trust each other. And a lot of times people are like, well, I have issues with him because this, that, or the other, or I don't trust her because she did this. Well, guess what? If you don't find a way to get over that in your relationship, I hate to break it to you, but it's not gonna last. It's just not. Because eventually one of you is gonna drive the other crazy, and that's just the way it is. You're gonna drive each other to the point of no return. It's not cool to subject someone to that type of jealousy and insecurity, and it's not fair to yourself to be feeling that way and being unhappy with your partner if it's issues caused by your own doing or because of something else they did. You guys need to address that so you can move forward or move on in some cases. The second thing that I think is important to discuss is the fact that long-distance relationships can work if, one, there's trust, and two, if it's temporary. That's it. It has to be temporary. Long distance relationships cannot be something that's permanent. You have to be working towards a goal. And that goal, hopefully, is to eventually end up together under the same roof, or at least in the same city, or within reasonable driving distance. So I think that's important. You have to be working towards eventually being together, because you can't have a long distance relationship and not be with someone. That's not a relationship. That's a vacation. The last thing is you have to find creative ways to keep each other engaged, involved, interested. And all of these things, the trust and this next issue are things that you have to do regardless of where your partner is at. You have to keep the relationship interesting. You have to keep that fire lit. You gotta keep him wanting you. Same thing with guys. You gotta keep her on her toes. We tend to, at times, start taking people and our partners for granted. We don't woo them like we once did. That's sad. That's the great thing about courting and dating, is that you're on your best behavior and you're trying to win that person over. Well, once you have that person, you should continue to try to impress them and to love them. I know a lot of women who start letting themselves go. Well, I already got him. He should love me for me. Why am I trying to impress him? It's not that. Same thing for guys, Work on your fitness, dudes. I can't say all of us, but, we like to grab onto something that's firm and I'm not talking about just one thing. I'm talking about, don't sit there and get lazy. Don't get lazy physically. Don't get lazy in your relationship. Do things together. Keep that interest going. Find a common ground. Find something that you like doing together. If it's going to the gym together. Rod and I were at the gym almost all the time together. That's how we met, at the gym. We're always at the gym. We're always going out and doing things around town, watching shows, going to movies, doing activities. It's going out and watching the UFC fight, something. We're always doing something, planning our next trip, saving up. We always have a goal that we're working towards. If it's a vacation or a home, we're always something that we're constantly working together to achieve. So it's something that we're always working towards. You have to set a goal for yourself, not just personally, professionally, but in your relationship, and work towards it. It's something that you have to do, because when it comes down to it, the two of you are a team. Keep each other engaged, keep each other's spirits up. And that's kind of how it is. You ever notice how you just have those friends sometimes who are just downers, who always come around and they're so negative, and then eventually you start feeling negative? Well, you have to get rid of that. You have to, same thing in your relationship, you have to keep it exciting, keep the energy flowing, be happy, tell that person how much you appreciate them and how much you love them, because everyone wants to feel needed and appreciated. We have to realize that men and women are wired completely differently. We have to hone in on our partner's internal wiring, per se. Women were emotional. Men are physical. So men are going to be attracted by things that are physical, visually stimulating. Women, we're attracted to things that are emotionally and mentally stimulating. I'm not saying that you men can't get emotionally stimulated, because a lot of you can, most of you can, I'd hope. But, when most of the times when you find that men cheat, it's basically on a physical level. Whereas when women cheat, majority of the time it's on some emotional stuff. So keep that in mind. Men, don't neglect your women emotionally, and women, don't let yourselves go. And men are always going to look. We're always going to look at guys. So keep that in mind as well. Long distance relationships are very trying. They take a toll on you, but I can say that they can be very rewarding. Be who you are, be real, let it be known. Work on courting them, be the best person, be the best mate that you can be, but continue that throughout your relationship. And I think that there's still a lot of learning that you need to do as a couple and you need to do together. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying all long distance relationships are doomed, but they certainly need their fair share of work and effort on both parts in order to make it work. Good luck.